Hi, my name is Mary Reed, and I'm interviewing Sarah Culbreth and Jeff Enge in their studio, Tater Knob, outside Berea, Kentucky. Today is Sunday, January the 26th, 2025. This interview is part of the Kentucky Craft History and Education Association's mission to gather, conserve, and present the history and ongoing impact of crafts in Kentucky. Our videographer is Daniel Coy. Sarah and Jeff, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us today as we learn more about you and your craft. So Sarah, let's start with you telling us something about your background, like when you were born, where you're from.
I was born in North Carolina. My parents were living in Bryson City at the time. We quickly moved to Ashville, and for the first 17 years of my life, I lived with my father and mother. My mother was an educator, my dad was a Methodist minister. We moved around. So we lived in the Western North Carolina Conference and came to Berea when I was 17.
When were you born?
1953.
Okay.
Late 1953, right before New Year's, on December the 30th.
In Bryson City, North Carolina.
Bryson City, North Carolina.
Okay, and you came to Berea when?
In 1971,
71.
as a freshman at Berea.
Go to Berea College?
Yes, ma'am. And the reason I came to Berea, because my parents made me. I didn't choose to come. They wanted me to go further. We had been in a very tumultuous world my junior and senior year with the church that my dad was gifted with, and I didn't ever think about going to college. It wasn't promoted. I took the test and they said, oh yeah, you'd be really good at something besides typing. Never took typing. So I never ever thought about going to college until we had relocated out of that particular church, and Dad was happy in the new church, and they sat me down in the middle of the summer and said, so what are you going to do now that we've relocated and things are a little calmer? And I said, well, I was thinking about getting a job at Howard Johnson's and serving ice cream, because I loved their coffee ice cream. And it truly was the answer I gave. And they said, well, we think you can do a little bit better than that. And so they encouraged me to think about going to school and where would I go to school if I did. And I knew about Berea College because we had lived in the Ashville area, and there was a store that sold Berea College Student Industries work that was in downtown Asheville. And so I knew of the fact that they had art that came out of their establishment. Plus my dad's first cousin was the president of the college. So it didn't hurt when I applied in June to go to school in August or early September that my father's first cousin said, well, Sarah just needs to write a letter to the admissions office and blah, 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 blah. So I got in. I hated it. I cried and cried and cried, did not want to come to Berea.
Okay, but you came from an Appalachian community or
Yep.
area, yes, which
Yep.
would qualify you as well.
Yes.
Yes.
And we were economically
Yeah.
qualified.
Teacher's salary, right.
We qualified financially.
Okay. Do you have siblings?
There were 3 children in the family. An older sister that looks a whole lot like you, and I've always told you that, and a younger brother. So there were 3 of us.
Jeff, how about you? When were you born and where are you from and how'd you get here?
I was born in 1961 in Rochester, Minnesota. My dad was a public school teacher, PE teacher, basketball coach, tennis coach. So we moved around a little bit, and he found a nice community in Downers Grove, Illinois, where I went to high school. and had 4 years of clay in high school.
Really?
When I was a sophomore in high school, my dad warned me that I was going to school. I have an older brother, 2 years older, a younger sister a year behind me, and then a little brother that's born on my birthday 4 years later.
Oh my goodness.
And we were all told that we were going to go to school, and in fact, we all went to school out of state.
Your dad was an educator.
My mother and father kicked us out of the house,
Oh, okay.
which was the reason he did that is because he wanted us to succeed and fail on our own.
Okay.
So he kind of cut the ties, and because I was in clay in high school, I won some high school awards, and I had already bought a wheel and a kiln before I graduated high school with my parents' help. And they did that basically to keep me out of trouble. Who knew it would turn out to a career? I came to Berea College in 1980 because it had the most unique apprenticeship program in clay in the country at the time. I'd never experienced anything like that before. I was really immature. I didn't know what I was doing, and I survived it, but it was truly a treat to be a Berea College student. I'm not from the Appalachian region. They let in a small percentage of students, like 5% from outside the Appalachian region. I just happened to be one of those.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is, very much so. So, Sarah, how did you end up getting into the pottery from Berea College?
Well, when I came to campus, and I was a late applicant, so I had 3 roommates. There were 4 women in this room. They wanted you to declare a major. And I had studied music extensively, so I was very equipped musically with flute and piano. So I declared music as my major, immediately into theory, history. Was bored to death, although I was in the orchestra and I was doing band and pet band. There was quite a lot that I was doing. There was one professor in our
assignment.
Our freshman mandatory class that we went to class one day, and Dorothy Tredenick said, "Here's a list. These are all American Crafts Council workshops," which I didn't know what that was. I want you to pick one, and I want you to go to it and give me a report the next day. So I chose pottery. I didn't know what that was. I just chose it off the list, found my way to the pottery, and got to watch a world-renowned potter named Michael Cardew. And Michael Cardew was this British fellow. He's not a big man, but he was a wiry fellow, and he was throwing pots on the wheel. And I was just, look at that, that's crazy, wonderful, I love it. I immediately thought, wow, I'd like to do that and make my own dinnerware. That was my thought. I never said it out loud. I did not pursue a job there because when you go to Berea College, you have to work. You have to have it's a mandatory labor school, so you have to do 10 to 15 hours. I was a server of food at Boone Tavern, and a gentleman who was a senior hotel management major kept coming in the kitchen with clay all over him. And I was like, "Ron, what are you doing in the kitchen with clay, with dirt on your pants?" "Oh, I'm taking a pottery class." Well, I saw Michael Cardew throw a pot. He said, "Have you ever thought about getting a job there? Because I know you're discontent with being a server here." I loved being a server, but I realized really quickly that it was a thankless job, and that the manager was never going to be nice and be grateful for my upbeat, cheerful, service-intended self. So I proceeded to go and ask for a job. Now, you got to remember, this is 1971. I had really long hair, little thin braids. "Hi, I'm Sarah Culbreth. I want to be a potter." And they were like, no, we got to have serious people in here, because it's really a hard thing to do, and you got to stay with it, and nah. And they turned me down. So I was a geek. I was very insecure. I was a library nerd. So I went to the library and read the book called The Potter's Book by Bernard Leach. Went back 2 weeks later, said I read the Potter's Book. I will commit to being here and doing the best job I can for you for the remaining part of my Berea College career, and please give me a chance. And here I am. So they gave me a chance.
So how many years did you work in that pottery?
6.5 years. So I worked three and a half years as a student, and then as soon as I graduated, they asked me to stay on as a graduate apprentice, which the position had just emptied. A new resident potter was coming in who knew nothing about production work, nor firing gigantic gas-fired kilns, which I knew how to do. As a senior, I'd helped build the kiln, so I was given that job, and that was 1976. So I worked from 76 through 78 full-time as the little shop mama. I always had tea, and I always had vitamin C, and I always had little food because I lived off campus. Of course, I was full-time, so I wasn't a student anymore. So I stayed with them through August of 1978.
And then what?
I baked bread for 3 months for a little shop called Around the Corner.
Huh.
Do you remember that?
I do not.
That Jeff remembers it. It was a little boutique restaurant.
Coffee and tea.
That did breakfast and lunch, had exceptional coffee, and the woman wanted to serve all of the sandwiches that she offered on her menu on handmade bread.
So why did you leave the pottery position?
Because the pottery position was a 2.5-year contract.
Okay.
And it was, they brought in a new person.
Okay.
And I stretched it out to 2.5 years.
Okay.
They let me. That was good. Because I got to work the last 2 weeks of my career at the college. I got to be the assistant to Bernard Leach's son, David Leach. Amazing. It was awesome. He came from England and did a hands-on workshop for people from all over the United States. And I was his...
Through the American Crafts Council again.
Yeah.
And so I got to be his assistant. The dude that taught me was English. And we were making all of our own clay. I was crazy. But I knew how to knead his clay. And he was like, this is impressive, because to knead a piece of clay is your beginning step. Now we have de-aired clay, and people don't need clay anymore. They don't learn how to do that. But I had been very fortunate and was very honored to be his assistant and take him to the races on the day that we were done with the workshop. And he was a delightful older man, big guy.
Big hands.
Big hands, and he threw in a suit.
Had a tie on.
And a tie.
An apron?
Yes.
And the apron said...
Potters never die, they kiln themselves.
Which was great. So the day of, what are we going to do with this gentleman? I'd been his assistant. I had him to dinner at my home. I had made him a gooseberry pie out of gooseberries I had grown. So he was in love. And he said, I would love to go to the races, because it was the fall. So we went to Keeneland. He was adorable. This is a 75-year-old man, and he catches me by the arm, and he marches down to the finish line, and he says to the people sitting on the bench at the finish line, "Excuse me, I'm from England, and I would like to sit here." They got up and let him sit there, and I was like, okay, I'm going with him again. It was just a wonderful way to leave the institution that had provided me with the foundation for what I am today.
So you were ahead of Jeff then in the pottery, in the production. How did you go from baking bread to what you've created here in this studio.
Well, in 1979, in the year I took to lay in my hammock and say, do I really want to do this? Because I was burnt out, thrown so many pots. I had really thrown a lot of pots for Berea College. I had taken their industry from the red into the black because I was willing to throw what the head of the student industries wanted. He wanted
Financially and not clay.
financially.
Okay.
He would order 36 mugs all the same.
Yeah.
This was not from the person that started the program, the head of the ceramics department. It was from the head of the
Marketing.
student craft industries.
Yeah.
So he covered everything. They loved me. They loved it. And then he would order and I would make it at cost. I made my salary at cost, not at wholesale.
Right.
So I laid in a hammock and said, what the hell am I going to do? And my friends, Teresa and Ron Deaver,
Graduates from the same program.
were in North Carolina, and they wanted to leave the mountains of North Carolina and come back to Berea to provide a more socially connected experience for their child. So they contacted me. We had kept in touch and said, we want to move back, and we have a lead on a place, and would you be interested in joining us? So the three of us, along with a weaver and a sculptor, started a little space called Studio 105 in 1980. From that space, I would watch this handsome young man walk up the street with his portfolio to go to school, because this was a little neighborhood. So I got to watch, pardon me?
Was this on Forest?
Yes,
I do remember, in the basement.
yes, in the downstairs ground level entry. So we had our first holiday show there in 1980. Jeff was a student and was working at the college, and when David Leach came back to do another workshop with Wally Hollick at the ceramics department, Jeff was a part of that workshop. And we met physically, verbally. I think.
Okay,
I mean,
Jeff. So, you want to pick up the story from there?
Yes. I was in school while they were in this gallery, so I would watch them. They were graduates of the program like I was, and I saw what they were doing, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. So, bunch of years in high school, bunch of years in the college. By the time I stepped into Sarah's studio, I knew all the people that I would call them flunkies that were working for them. And I walked into her studio and said, hey, this is what I want to do. I bet you I could do a better job than these other flunkies. I had 10 years of clay experience by the time I walked into her studio. And I helped her for a long time, and she didn't even know that I could throw pots.
Huh.
So we worked together and did our first craft shows together about a year.
86, 87.
About a year of doing that, we just started working together.
Jeff stepped out into his own studio space, Mary. So he had been somebody's assistant. He had worked with a world-renowned potter in
Princeton, Wisconsin.
took a leave of absence from the college and worked with this high-end American Crafts Council high-end show. What was his name?
Robert and Mary Lee Carlson.
And he had been someone's assistant, and as we became lovers and our communication skills were appropriate, it became evident that he really wanted to do it by himself and not be somebody's assistant.
Right.
Well, I've done it for the college. I've done it for Robert. I've helped you.
Yeah.
My wrists are kind of hurting. I said, better do this on my own, see if I can do this. So I did for a couple of years. And
Went to Old Town.
So you had a studio in Old Town, Berea?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And
Did your shop have a name?
it did. It was called Stone Wall Pottery
Okay.
on Adams Street, where
Okay.
Apollo's Pizza is now.
Okay.
It was a little more run down at the time. The roof leaked.
So,
She told you I went out on my own. She's doing her own craft show over here in her booth, and I had my own booth, and was demonstrating like she was, and I think we shared the truck
Yes,
for
we did.
hauling, and as you well know, on a Sunday, here come the rain. So she gets moved out. I finally get the truck. I had a successful first show at Indian Fort Theater. Come home, and my studio had flooded.
Oh, jeez.
At least I had the money to go get a mop and a bucket and clean it up. But it was a good start.
So how long did you keep your own shop?
Just 2 years or so. And I called Sarah and just said, hey, do you want to work together? I don't want to work alone.
89.
I've had this memory or this wish since high school to find a spouse that was into clay, find a pottery, and maybe have a trout stream running in the front yard. That's really what I wanted to do since I was in high school. The trout stream's only 20, 30 minutes that way. So it's okay, I'd love it. Being a Wisconsin, Minnesota boy, I love this region. The country, the hillside, the terrain, and reminds me of home, and it is home.
So in 1989, I bought this farm. Jeff called me from Norway because his parents were in Norway, and he had gone to visit them, all of his family together. Dad was a Fulbright scholar.
He was still teaching, and he got a Fulbright scholarship where they exchanged homes and teaching jobs, and they went to Norway, and these people came to Illinois.
Nice.
Because they're Norwegian.
Right.
So it was, I couldn't afford to go to Norway because I'd bought a house. I was broke. I was down. So when he,
I don't think I asked you. No.
you did, I did not get an invitation. We were not a couple at the moment. We were.
Oh, I'm kidding.
We were having
Kidding.
we had been divinely intercepted, and so we were really good friends, and so we started working together in 1990
1990.
at Studio 105. Still,
Okay, so you bought the farm, but you still had your studio.
Yes.
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The transition didn't happen until we had a door slammed in our face. So that's what what makes a critical decision happen, health issues or lodging, housing issues. And we went to work one day in January of 1992, and there was a notice that they weren't going to renew our lease to have our space at Studio 105. So we had to do something.
So after I graduated from Berea College, Mary, you remember what Berea, the city, was like in the 80s, in the 86?
Yeah.
We had fine galleries. Around the corner, we were drinking out of David Westmeyer teapots and mugs, and I was just like, wow, this is the crafts community I've been looking for, which is why I settled in this area, because it was outstanding the way it was.
Different today, but compare it to other cities, and it's still.
Well, I was just talking about how what attracted me to Berea was stunning. 5 potters, 5 woodworkers, 5 weavers. that was just impressive to me, and I always have wanted to be a part of that kind of community.
Okay, so continue.
So the door that slammed in our face, all of a sudden, Jeff and I had to make a decision. Are we going to go to Old Town? Are we going to go to the College Square? Where can we go? Because we're off the beaten path already. Studio 105, wasn't on Main Street, USA. And yet we had begun to have the kind of people that come in and say, "Wait, where do you get your plastic you're working with?" And, so we're aware that we had options. And so we chose to build. We were going to renovate that barn you thought was a part of ours, but she would only give us a lifetime lease. So we couldn't buy it. She wasn't going to let us buy it.
It's the same thing. We didn't want to rent a space in town.
Again, because we had been renting.
It's not what we wanted.
So we
You were marketing through shows and galleries, shops?
Once I finally got in the Kentucky Guild of Artists and Craftsmen, which took me 10 times to get juried in, I persevered through that, and I had done little shows, weird little shows like in Mount Vernon.
Okay.
I had done a lot of consignment because nobody knew I existed.
Okay.
It was the Log House Craft Gallery purchased my work. So I did wholesale. Quit doing consignment. For the first 6 years of that Studio 105 location, Jeff came in as soon as he graduated and said, "Hey, I can be a better assistant to you than the flunkies." So hiring him, he was right, but he never said I can throw pots. And that was okay, because I was throwing enough pots. I needed somebody to help me process my pots.
Okay.
We've come a long way. I don't process his pots. He doesn't process my pots currently, unless he wants me to and he tells me to. Jeff will take my pots off. Like today, he might help me get my pots off the bats, but I process them. This decision to make this building, we were under a timeline because they had given us till June. And we found an architect. We went through the drawings. We diminished the building. We took the bathroom out because it was going to cost us $25,000 more to build a septic field. And we just kept plugging along. Now, we had a baby. David was born. I was super pregnant when this all happened.
So David was born when?
So David was born on February the 26th of 1992. So
we moved our studio, got married, had a baby in that order.
we got married first.
Sarah. Okay, whatever she says.
He's got the list and it goes on. There's six things. We got pregnant. We got married. We made a decision to build a building. We had a baby. Then we moved the business on July the 3rd. We made them evict us because we couldn't get the building finished in time.
Okay.
Crazy.
So that was the beginning of Tater Knob.
Correct.
All right.
And the reason we call it Tater Knob, on the land that we own, there's a knob, and the locals call it Tater Knob. And we had to join her studio name and my studio name, so we came up with Tater Knob.
Okay.
I had an identity, he had an identity with Stone Wall Pottery. So we put our identities together, came up with the logo and the literature that would support the fact that we do this. Oh, I hope. It was a long haul. We didn't do that all at one time. I don't think we got our logo together till 1994.
Well, the benefit is we did craft shows, 4 or 5 a year around the state of Kentucky. We did not go very far. We were in this region, but after doing that for 30 some years, we established a clientele, a client base, and they followed us out here because of that. That was a big part of the move, is they already knew who we were and we had good clients. We just moved our location, and that really helped, I think.
You have a lot of followers, you have a lot of collectors is what I find.
We're on our she's on her third generation of making dinnerware sets for this person, mom and dad, and now the children.
Yeah.
We've just been doing it for a while, so we're on our third generation of children.
That is absolutely the truth.
It's wonderful.
It is.
Wonderful. Oh, man. Okay. You mentioned the Kentucky Guild and being juried in there. What type of, do you know what year that was?
No.
Okay.
I know that in 1980, Phyllis George Brown really kicked off my career.
I think it was 81 that show at the horse park.
It was a show in Frankfurt.
Oh, at Frankfurt. Okay.
The horse park was the next year. I didn't like it at all, the horse
Okay.
park in that little weird building. But and it could have been 1981 as well, but I think it was 1980 that Phyllis, I got a phone call at Studio 105 that said, Phyllis George Brown wants you to come with your work on a tabletop amount of work with a wholesale price list, and we're bringing in the buyers for the gift shops because Phyllis wants the gift shops for the state parks to buy Kentucky craft instead of things from China. So get your wholesale price list and blah, blah, because that's where I met Linda and Jack, Kelly Mailer, who had Tree Finery, who also provided us with a view of our work, and as we were all getting started. And we all went to Frankfurt, set up our little display on a table. They even covered the table for us. We didn't have to do anything except put our stuff out. And Neiman Marcus was there. I think I met Jean, who was at Fort Boonesboro at that show, and Emily Greenwell, who was at Old Kentucky Home. Those two were major orderers for my work during my early years of the 80s. Neiman Marcus didn't buy a thing, and then an order came from them in the mail for $500, and I thought I was rich. I was like, my God, I've got a $500 order, woohoo! I did their order on a timely basis, and then I turned Marshall Fields down for 3 years until they finally paid retail.
Oh.
They said, well, we want your work, we'll pay whatever. And then I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do big corporate work anymore. It was a good learning experience. But I did Japan. I did a place called Tashiya da-da-da.
Did you go to Japan?
No.
With the delegation?
No.
Okay. You just sold to them.
Sold to that one-time only store.
So let me take you back to now, when you're talking about Phyllis George, you're talking about the Kentucky Arts Council's Kentucky Craft Program.
Kentucky Craft Marketing was what it was called.
She kind of started it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, I didn't go out of my booth, so I didn't see all the other booths.
Okay.
I was there for 6 hours. So
Okay, so what did that organization do for you?
Oh.
Open doors? to
open doors.
International and
It was
New York
it was
buyers.
amazing that we were living in Kentucky, and we had a government-run, funded facility organization that taught us how to market, taught us how to be in business. They provided all sorts of educational seminars and workshops for people who didn't know. Well, I would always go, I went to a number of them and would go, yep, all right, I'm doing that. Yep, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. Oh, that's good. Because I'm a talker. And it's the truth, if you ask 10 questions, you're going to make a sale. But they have to be genuine. They can't be, and that's why Jeff will say, he'll say, she talks a lot. David says the same thing. And the people that came yesterday, exactly, he said, I remember you're a Methodist preacher's daughter.
Because you talk a lot?
Because I shared that with Nathan when he came the last time. People love that. And you create more of a connection. I had no idea, Mary, that being in business, the success of the business is creating the relationships with the people that buy your work. And
Because they're buying a piece of you and
Yes.
not just a piece of clay.
so I kept everybody's name. I made sure that if you were at a counter, I made sure you wrote down your name and address and hand-addressed postcards. We put labels on and stamps on thousands of stinking cards until I got smart and got a company do it for us. But we direct mailed, communicated with every client on our list because you would get a percentage of them that would come to your show, your Christmas show, your spring show. Jeff had the idea for the spring show. We were always in our holiday show spiffy. This place was a gallery. You never would know this was ever a shop where you threw pots. He mopped and cleaned the floor. He polished the floor. We cleaned everything and served really good food. And people, the last year we did an event in 2019, a 2-day show, which actually turned into 3 because people always come on Friday because they didn't want to have to deal with the crowds. We made $30,000 in 2 days. Is that right? The business brought in that much.
Right.
It wasn't all ours. We had a lot of other artists that were here, but we would kill ourselves.
Well, Phyllis George Brown and the Kentucky Arts Council, is that what you were talking about? That got her started, but really what helped me was the Kentucky Guild Fairs.
Okay.
This had been going on since the 60s. We were there in the 90s, and we're very successful. These guild fairs were very productive back then and really helped us in our business. She was on the board. For the 40th year of the guild show, she volunteered her time to music, food, dancing, that kind of thing. But boy, I don't know if you remember, Mary, that was a really good year.
Jim Archambault came up to me on the end of that show and he said, "This is the best show I've ever done in my life." 25,000 people came to the fall 40th year Guild Fair.
That was Jim who?
Archambault,
Archambault.
The photographer.
the photographer. We sent out gift boxes of donated
I
art.
don't remember that one. Okay.
I don't know that you were there.
Probably, yeah.
I don't remember that you were there. It was a great weekend, no rain. It had rained, so it wasn't super dry. We had live music from Russia. The co-chair had this connection. We had live music all weekend long that was different and not just same old, same old. We had an incredible dinner, which Jeff and I and Linda and Jack Fifield put together. Linda cooked it all. Jeff provided all the beautiful serving pieces. I was there and did the table settings because it was a sit-down formal kind of dinner with a buffet line of handmade work with handmade food for the exhibitors because nobody had ever said this. You know, we used to have potluck, the potluck thing. But being involved in these nonprofits, Chamber of Commerce, the tourism, those things that I said yes to, made a difference with our clients because they came to that fair. They loved that fair. They loved the fair where it was. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore.
That was a big part of our career at that time. It jump-started our business, I believe, because There's two of us that are functional potters, and we can throw a lot. At that time in our life, we could throw a lot of pots, so that made a difference.
And you juried into the guild separately, individually,
Yes.
not as an association? Okay. Okay. And I'm not sure they even have that category anymore for jurying.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have anything to do with them anymore.
okay. So Sarah, you served on the board of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
guild. And do you remember what year that was or what years? Because board terms are what, 3 years?
Yes, ma'am. Susan was the president of the board. She was,
The question was year.
I'm trying to think of the
Susan
year.
Goldstein.
Yes, very good.
Probably late 90s.
It was when we had been gifted with the funding to have a real executive director.
So Allison Kaiser was
Very
the
good.
director.
That's correct.
And we had a Steel Reese grant.
Yes, ma'am.
$100,000.
Thank you.
Funded the director, I believe. And it
'Cause
was
I said it-
it was a rebuilding.
Because there had been yet another, and it continues with the guild, but that was the
If it
time.
wasn't for Les Pross and you and many, many others, this organization grew and became a guild in itself. And if it wasn't for the leaders of that guild, it wouldn't have done that well. It was a pretty tight-knit group of people who ended up doing all the work.
Yep.
And I will let you know that Les Pross was one of the founders of the Kentucky Craft History and Education Association.
Oh.
Yes. He was very instrumental because he
Oh.
brought all that guild history with him.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we actually started out our focus was to document the guild's history because it was so important to the craft movement of Kentucky.
Rudy Asalnik,
Yeah.
Homer Ledford, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
Les Pross,
I did not know he was part of this organization.
he established it. He was
Well,
part of the
that makes a
founding
big
members.
difference.
Yes, he was.
Of
back in 1960.
that's paying for this interview.
Oh,
Okay.
But Rudy and Homer were already gone by the time KCHEA came together on that. But Les was there and in all those beginning meetings.
What about Richard Belando?
Oh, very much so. He
Okay.
and Lila both.
Because Richard is not well,
if
right?
that didn't happen, the guild would have not been so successful. These are great artists, great people from this community that started the guild.
And we honored Les at that 40th year because 40 years of being an organization in America, it's nothing to be snubbed.
Oh, what I do find that's so impressive is that the guild has kind of fallen and new energy comes in and rebuilds and it falls again. New energy comes in and rebuilds, it falls again.
We've noticed.
But that's what's so impressive about it because it always comes back.
Well, you already,
Now you're in over 60 years, what?
Over 60 years, and
Yes,
I'm
of
grateful
an
that there's.
organization for the artists and craftspeople of Kentucky. Yeah,
And
it's impressive.
It is. It is. And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, at 40 years, it was impressive enough to get us a couple of minutes on national television
Yeah.
because we promoted it. Had a great promotion team. And it worked.
Okay.
great history, great history.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount to think it all started with a train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rand Hieglitz, a potter in Louisville, who's very, at any rate, he became a potter because he saw pottery on the train.
Now, who was that?
Rand Hieglitz.
Healgiz.
Say that one more time.
Hel Hieglitz. Giz. We've got his telephone number somewhere, honey.
Okay.
But he was a wood-fired potter. Did wood
Salt
fired
firing.
Salt firing.
Okay. Not familiar with it. But when we have these transcribed, it's good to have the correct spelling.
He worked with a guy named not Charles Counts, Byron Temple. He's one of the leading salt fire potters in our country, and some people just don't know who he is.
Okay. Yeah, it's not my field. Well, tell me then about, I guess you already have what the Kentucky Craft Marketing Program did for you. Our Kentucky Craft Marketing. Yeah, the name changes a little bit
Yeah, it's okay.
through the different governors, administrations and stuff, so. But anyways, what else did that do for you besides your beginning introduction?
Go ahead.
It was always held early in the year, correct?
The show they did.
The show they did, and it was to market the work, candy, books, to the state park people and other people, and it was helpful. It really started off our year with a bunch of wholesale orders and kept us busy.
For 7 years we didn't go, so they deemed us new exhibitors when we went back, and we didn't make a big deal out of that. I think it was when Fran first began being the head of it, Fran Redmond. They put us as a new exhibitor, and we just kind of said, okay, we'll be new exhibitors. We learned our lesson that time, though.
Now, was it just strictly wholesale?
No,
Okay. You had retail involved in that too?
it was 2 days of retail, 1 day of wholesale. Friday was the wholesale buyers, and then the Saturday and Sunday were retail, and retail never panned out to be worth anything. It was just, it was worth enough, but it wasn't worth.
It's not always about retail. Who is the woman potter from Louisville that was a teacher at Louisville?
Sarah Fredericks was one. Laura.
Rock?
Yes, that's who I'm thinking of. Sure, the sales were good, but Laura Ross is one of my favorite potters in Kentucky, and to be right across the street from her in the booth and made me feel like I was part of a crafts community. Even though I might have been one of the younger ones, boy, we had some really good displays back then.
That was our 25th year.
Beautiful work.
25 years of doing business. And we had this big banner. Jeff's mom and dad came down. Your dad came down for sure. I don't remember your mom, whether she was there or not. Point being, Laura was across the aisle from us, and Sunday morning we were open. Of course, Sunday morning was dead. Not a lot of people moving around. She wasn't there, and I thought, I know how to do this. So I went over and turned on all her lights, so it looked like she was open. She came in around 11. She said, I thought we opened at noon today. It's okay. Your lights are on. You're good. She said, thank you. You're so welcome. It wasn't nothing. But Jeff is right. I remember Pat Gerhardt, of all the people, Crazy Pat, who was a weaver at that time. She had a booth of weaving bags, and she was making these gorgeous bags. But I'm a bag lady. I didn't ever buy one because I didn't need another bag. But I just ran across in my memorabilia a picture of her when she may be 30 years old. Just adorable. Not at all as quirky as she is now. She owns 3rd Street Stuff in Lexington.
That's still going?
Oh yeah, she's still right there in downtown Lexington if you want to go into a very quirky little shop right across from Transylvania University. She's on North Broadway, I'm pretty sure.
She was on North Lime and
Maybe
3rd.
it may be Lime and 3rd. You know where it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just drive
She's
around.
moved a door or two, one way or the other, I think, but that was her neighborhood then.
Before I forget this, while you ladies are talking, it's so close to forgetting it, The nice part happens when you get older. The nice part of the Guild and doing all those shows is that we don't have to do it anymore.
I want to switch into the product and your process here, but were there any other organizations that really helped you or influenced you along the way in your careers that you can think of?
One thing that I can think of that helped us was a guy by the name of Tim Farmer from Kentucky Afield. Him and his family came and videoed us, and we donated pottery for their kitchen show, and they still use it today. And for a couple years, he ran our name and our business in the highlights at the end of his show.
Great.
Boy, did that make a difference. Do you know who Tim Farmer is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He is world renowned. People from Australia follow him. He's a one-handed cook, fisherman, hunter, and he was in charge of Kentucky Afield, and his backing and advertisement really helped. That was one of them.
Yes.
House and Gardens Television
Oh yeah,
filmed us.
that's another one.
I don't know whether these are organizations that, they're not nonprofit, but House and Gardens Television.
Okay.
House and Gardens Television came in as a client, just like anyone else. We treated them just the same. Didn't know who they were, but one of them was the producer for a show called Country at Home, and contacted us shortly after her visit here, and asked if they could film us, if they could come do an excerpt on us, and they did.
And the very next day
6
was
minutes.
the very next day it was shown. A husband and wife got on their motorcycle from Michigan and drove all the way down here because of seeing that on HGTV.
Yep.
Great story.
It was crazy. People calling on the phone, all of which they filmed us for 8 hours. 8 hours. They contracted me to feed them lunch because there was no place to eat. So instead of them going away and going to town, I just put out a buffet of food.
You remember some funky things,
Well,
I'm telling you.
It just added,
And you got 6 minutes.
and we got
Airtime.
6 minutes of national television.
And they
For
asked,
free.
me at the end of the day, why are you wearing an Iowa sweatshirt?
Because we didn't have,
I said, because it's warm. I don't know how to answer that. It was.
Okay, so, all right, you're potters, we've established that. So tell me about what you make and what materials you're using, and explain that. Clay, let's start with clay. What kind of clay do you use?
we use a proprietary clay that's made just for us out of 3 clays from the region. So the red clay, the primary ingredient of the 3 clay blend, comes out of the ground in Grayson, Kentucky, and is processed by a company where one of the other clays is dug in southern Ohio. We have a white clay from Paducah, a beautiful red clay from Grayson, and then a mustard-colored yellow clay that is our proprietary clay. It's made just for us. So we try to teach the public with our open educational studio what is clay. They want to think it's just dirt that we go out in the garden and use, and we educate them to the fact that it's rock that was ground up by the glaciers as they created the big holes that then filled up with water that made the Great Lakes. It makes it real to them. This is an ancient material. Why did I choose this clay? It is a clay I chose and altered a recipe from my Professor Wally Hollick's recipes. We've used other clays, so it's not the only clay that we've used. Jeff has made his own wood-fired clay to fire in a wood-fired kiln that's on our property that we built with brick that clients gave us. So where do you find your source of why did you do this? This clay is silky and satiny, and it has no grit. Working with Berea College clay for 6 years, gritty, groggy, hurt your hands to work with. You make your own decisions. This is a sweet little clay. It has no grit, no grog. It feels like fudge.
Very plastic.
And it fires to vitrosity at 2,185 degrees, as opposed to stoneware clay that it takes 2,450 degrees. Big difference, not necessarily in numbers, but in fuel to get that hot.
And one of the differences, if you were going to choose to do a gas kiln, you might not be able to do it within city limits.
Correct.
They have regulations, they have rules where you can't have that kind of kiln. So we have that kind of kiln, but she chose and I chose to work in electric kilns.
Okay.
That makes it a little easier. We last year or so we produced 12 tons of clay a year. Mm-hmm. So we have 3 kilns in there that we fire pretty regularly on a regular basis, and we just stay busy.
It makes a strong, durable, long-lasting product. Having been trained to be a functional utilitarian potter, I wanted a clay body that would be sturdy and durable. I did not know this one would be as good as it is in 1980. We did raku ware in the late 80s together. We've done wood-fired work primarily because we had this client that gave us $35,000 worth of brick. We needed to do something with them. So we did. And Rand Hieglitz came and helped us build a kiln. So clay is multiple kinds of temperatures to fire it. We've chosen this red clay as our primary production clay for 43 years, using the same 6 glazes for 43 years. We mix ourselves. And then we put colored clays underneath, like this one has blue on it. This one has landscape on it. You can't see it, but it's there. So we use colored clays to define and make it more ta-da, because the glazes were kind of yuck to me to begin with. Now I like them. Now they're okay by themselves.
Your glazes are a signature of yours too.
Yes.
Yes. People can see the color
Yes.
of the glaze and say, oh.
And that third generation of clients still have the option to get that same color.
Mm-hmm.
So they can match their set if they break something.
Correct, that's what.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
You use electric wheel or kick wheel or?
We primarily use electric wheels, but we have kick wheels we can use if we want to. They're in storage at the moment.
If the electric goes out?
We're not that desperate any longer, Mary. We both grew up with kick wheels, so we have them. But go ahead.
Great story about our clay.
Yes.
This husband and his son dig this clay with the backhoe and a dump truck, and it comes in the ground like a vein, like coal. They tear off the top layer, and here's this red clay vein, and they go in there and dig it out and get the big sticks and stones out and take it to the plant. The wife of this husband came to this building and said, I wanted to see what people were using or doing with the clay that my husband and my son dig. She came with photographs, and that's pretty neat. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That
Earl's
she's
wife.
been there and the wife's been here. It's part of a community, part of Kentucky, common bond that we share.
It's a partnership.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
I went and got the clay to begin with because it's powdered. It looks like flour. It looks like brownie mix.
Dry.
Dry, floured, textured. You open a bag of it and it looks for the world like brownie mix, and that you should stick your finger in it and eat it. So that helps the public know we don't just go dig it. So we tell them where it comes from. I went to the mine in southern Ohio with a good friend, Terry Wyatt, who was and owned a concrete block company in Berea at the time. He went took me up there in his 10-ton truck, and we brought back 10 tons of clay. This was at Studio 105, early on. We're cruising along. Berea College had ordered some. Because I was community-minded, I went to them, said, hey, I'm going. Do you want some? What do you need? Well, we got to Winchester, just outside Winchester, and I looked off and I said, look, Terry, it looks like it's really foggy. It wasn't fog. It was snow.
Oh.
And by the time we got to Winchester, there was 2 inches on the ground. We had to get home. The further we went, the worse it was. And we were at Studio 105, which was down a hill. Oh, goodness gracious. It was like the 30,000 pounds of bananas song. I was scared to death because we had all this clay on the truck and it was snowing to beat the band. But we made it safely. So there's been lots of experiences to get the basic ingredient to create a living that we've shared. We share our scrap clay with anybody that comes along, kids, grandparents, adults, people who have disabilities. Give them some clay and encourage them to work with it because it's real earth. It's from Kentucky.
So you're using 3 types of clay to make yours.
Yes.
And who does the processing and puts this together?
Well, the building got flooded and is no longer there in Ashville, North Carolina.
High water clays in Asheville was the beginning.
Okay.
And then there is a young lady in Lexington that took it upon herself to become a clay supplier. So we have 2 different locations we can buy our clay through that makes 3 tons at a time. And we store it in the corner in boxes. That's clay over there.
Okay. And so you just give them your formula and they
Yep.
put it together?
That's right, and it's a
Okay.
proprietary clay. No one else can order it.
Okay.
Teresa tried to order her own. She uses the same clay very minimally because she's one person, half a ton every 2 years. Point being, she tried to order half a ton and they said, well, you can't do it, sorry. So I had to call them back and order that again
For her.
for her.
That was nice. Cooperation.
No big deal.
Okay. So, all right, so once you make a piece on the wheel, is that what this is here?
Yes, made yesterday, still wet, still looks like fudge.
Yes.
Yep, so when it looks like fudge, it's in process. So this one is in process, so tomorrow I will keep it covered with plastic, and once it's leather hard, you can put a handle on it, you can put a color on it, you can trim it. And once you've done that,
Is that called greenware?
this is leather hard,
Creamer.
I guess it's called greenware. I usually call these greenware.
Okay.
These are dry, and they come apart.
But have they been fired at all?
Nope, not at all. Just
Okay.
formed earth.
And now, what's the whitish or the lighter color on it?
That is a colored clay.
Okay,
That
okay.
makes blue.
Oh.
We
How
use
does
6
that turn
different
blue?
colored clays.
You fire it.
You fire it.
That's all it takes to turn that blue?
When you create, you've got to create heat. Your heat is going to wipe out anything natural. These are natural heavy metals. Fired the first time. So fired the first time, it starts looking like it has some color on it. Those are called slips.
Slips.
And that's what we kind of help. Well, it's a decorative motif.
Okay.
Jeff etches through slips to create a positive, negative,
Okay.
and then that etching comes through when you fire it the second time. This is what the pot looks like if nothing was done to it but firing it without doing anything. So if this dries and is fired, it's called bisqueware,
Bisqueware. Looks like a flower pot.
and it is in a terracotta color because this clay has that's part of its characteristics. It's porous, it accepts water without dissolving, which is why you fire it the first time. Because otherwise, if you tried to put a glaze on that, it would just melt into.
Glazes are essentially glass suspended in water. You dip this bisqueware into the glaze. It has wax resist on the bottom to make cleanup a little easier. We don't glaze the bottoms of our pieces. I glaze it like that. I dip it in and out of this glaze for about 2 seconds.
2 seconds, maybe.
In and out, and there's a paper thin coating of glass on the outside. And it dries pretty quickly.
Instantly.
The moisture draws into the clay, and the raw materials are left on the surface.
Okay.
You following?
Okay.
And then when you fire it, that glass bubbles and comes up and gnarly like the moon, and there's gases coming from the clay through the glaze out, so there's pinholes, and after a while, that all fluxes out, and it turns to glass, and it's smooth as butter, and the glass is not what makes this functional. It makes it look pretty, but the clay by itself holds water. You can cook and eat and drink out of it without the glaze. The glaze just makes cleaning easier, makes it look prettier. The clay is very functional by itself. Another thing about this clay, I used to make these big bowls, and I still make some big bowls, but I would always pick them up and rattle them with my finger, and it would have this beautiful sound. It would just bong. And so I had a friend who decided to do the same thing. So I make bells because I used to whack my bowls and hurt my knuckle. I like that sound. It sounds delightful, and all I use is a cord with a knot in it, and I've made many of them. But it's because the clay is nice quality clay.
It's called vitrified.
Called what?
Vitrified.
Holds water
To make
is what that
vitrified.
term means.
Okay. And so this one here then has been, it's finished.
Yep,
So it's,
finished.
It's got its glaze on it.
Got glaze
And
on
it
it?
looks like glass. It's shiny.
It is.
Yeah.
The other part of it is, it's going to last forever. If you don't drop this on the ground and smash it, it'll last for a very long time because it's fired to
2,185
it
degrees.
just makes it hard. And the Greeks and Romans did it, the Irish, the Germans, the Swedes, the Norwegians, we all did this, and some of their pots are still around, which is great to see.
Do you sign your pieces?
History lesson.
Yes,
Do you have a signature stamp? Or-
yes. We have a logo stamp.
Okay.
I put that on my work pretty much as I can. It's not mandatory because I sign my name legibly. Jeff signs his name extremely legibly. It's beautiful.
Well, that's important.
Yeah.
It's important to me. I don't like it when I look at the bottom of somebody else's pot and I can't read what I'm looking at. I think that signature is really important. We have pots in Germany, Norway, Japan, and I want them to see that name. It's important to me.
It's added value. It's showing your pride in your work.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. All the above.
One other thing that I forgot to talk about was she was a musician when she was younger. She trained at the piano and the flute and the dexterity of marching and playing the flute at the same time. I think that's why she has good hands for a massage, but making good pottery.
Which you need after making pottery.
Well, I think that's some of her roots. I used to be an athlete a long time ago, and it's much more physical with me, and I have strong hands as well. I give a good massage as well, but I think that's our roots, which helped us become potters, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes great sense.
We had been talking about your process, but you have a son now, and is he a potter as well?
He is, and his wife. is a graduate of the same apprenticeship program that we were in.
At Berea College?
Yes.
And your son's name is?
David.
Went to Warren Wilson, which is another labor school just outside of Ashville, North Carolina, in the Swananoa Valley.
It's called what?
Warren Wilson.
Warren Wilson, okay.
It still is. I'm not sure what their current status is since Swananoa's kind of been wiped off the face of the earth. It was a school that was designed to teach farmers how to be successful. And it was for men only, and they taught, that was their basic beginnings.
Okay.
But it became a liberal arts school, only 900 kids, which has gotten more known for its outdoor degrees. So you can go there and get a degree in outdoorism and teaching outdoors and being in the mountains and forestry, biking, hiking.
Well, about David, he grew up around here. He grew up watching us do craft shows.
How old is he?
He is 33 now.
Be 33 in February.
Okay. That's right, she gave me his birthday.
And he just grew up around this. So he knows how to do craft shows. He knows how to talk. He knows how to engage with customers. He's really good at it for the most part. And he's become quite productive. He can throw a lot of pots, which is good for him.
And his wife?
She helps him quite a bit do this carving design and finishing some of his work. They do work together pretty well for some reason. How do two people get along and do this?
They collaborate a great deal.
And she makes her own pots that are really nice as well.
She has her own ideas.
She's taking care of our grandson. She doesn't have as much time to do that. Maybe when he goes to school, she'll have a little more freedom.
So he's very young at this point?
Yeah, he's 5. He'll go to kindergarten maybe next year.
Okay. So you're into the second generation?
And our third, just like David, our third generation makes pots, sells pots, and brings customers from the counter over to his, look at, this is what I do, and he's 5.
And he's 5.
Yeah.
All right.
He has a little line of work that he has created only because his parent did the same thing to him that we did to David. You want money? Make some pots. We'll sell them. You get money. You can do what you want to with it.
Well, we started that pretty young with him.
Yep.
I believe he was in diapers, and the July show at Indian Port Theater was 100 degrees, and he wanted to participate, so we set him up with ice water in a little cups, white cups, and he sat there and gave ice water, and they put tips in his container, and he thought he hung the moon.
He couldn't sell it, but he could give it away for free. So he had free, a sign that said free ice water.
And they tipped
Little
him.
sucker make so much money with quarters.
So I think he liked that.
Oh. Well, he also wanted a dirt bike. And I was like, hell no, I'm not buying you a dirt bike. Nope. And if you want a dirt bike, you can be a guest artist at our Christmas show. And so he had that table full of log houses and
they're still around.
dishes, 3 dishes put together like for mayonnaise, pickle relish, and mustard. And he got himself $600 from that show
My goodness.
and took it to
How old was he?
He was a 12.
12.
12. And I said, well, I'm not the bank. I'll go to the bank with you with your $600 because you need more. Needed $1,200. The banker said, David, I can't loan you the money. You're not old enough. But I can loan your mom the money and put your name on the loan, and you have to pay it back. Okay. So he paid it back $50 a month by doing whatever he needed to make that money.
Interesting. Taught him how to work, quality of
Well, it taught him how to create funding. His work ethic is not mine, but that's just the difference in generations.
Sure. Be careful there.
That was politically correct, just in case he ever watches this. I won't get in trouble. But it's just the difference, you know, you and I were both raised during an era where our parents, and especially my parents, maybe your grandparents, had suffered through the Depression.
Parents.
My parents. So, you know,
And grandparents, yeah.
we were taught to work and had chores, and we did those before we did anything quote unquote fun.
Well, Mary, I think the best part of it is you get to work for yourself, you get to be your own boss, you get to be creative, you get to work with your hands. And not as many people do that anymore. There's not as many potters as there used to be, but that's a privilege. To make a pot, have somebody buy it, and make a living at that is a real treat.
Fund your life. How fortunate we are. 43 years, we've bought this 30-acre farm, and we've developed a little empire of buildings that house 2 families. And we're wealthy, wealthy, wealthy with people that love us and use us every day in their lives. And think of us by drinking out of his mugs. 2 years ago, guy came in January. I broke my mug. I need another one. There weren't any out there the size he wanted of his work. So I just was patient because I don't tell him what to do. And when one came along that I thought would match this guy's size, I called him up. He said, I thought you'd forgotten about me. Because it took a year.
Oh, gosh.
Which is okay. His wife said, I just don't know when we're going to be able to get there. He was here the next morning. I knew he would be here. They live in Manchester. They brought us donuts. He remembered that we liked the donuts from the bakery in Manchester because it's a Mennonite bakery. Stuff is to die for. He came the next day to get that mug, by God. And there was another one, and he bought 2 just in case he broke that one.
Speaking of donuts, last time I ran into you was at a bakery in Danville.
That's right.
On our anniversary.
Anniversary or birthday or something, yes. That was my birthday, your anniversary.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, now you've made me hungry.
I almost brought food over, and I thought, oh, that'd be too much. So, sorry.
I'm lucky we've survived. There's a lot of people that we used to do craft shows with who no longer do that. Mm-hmm. They've retired. They're doing something else for a living, and I kind of like it that we've survived it, and we're still doing that.
You are more of a brick and mortar place, I would say, because you have a studio that you bring people into, and you're not taking your wares out to shows and doing that travel circuit anymore.
That's correct.
A nice mom and pop brick and mortar store, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as Danny said, wow, this is a nice space. This is a really nice place. And our clients they'd love to come here.
And they're in the woods.
We're in the woods.
Away from the...
And a number of years ago, when David came back from school, we gave him the deck, which is behind us. And he lasted out there for one winter because when it snowed, the tents would fall in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was. We filled up this entire space by ourselves. And he didn't have nearly as much as we did, so.
So he built this building on top of my deck, which was where I went to be in the trees, because it was, so the porch, the retirement porch, which is on the front western facing side of the building, I spend a lot of time out there this past year. Part of my retirement plan is not to kill myself when people come I love that have been coming here for years, and they want to shop, but they also want to visit.
Right.
So they can shop all they want, but I'll go have a cup of coffee with them or some water or whatever on the porch and not talk, not work,
right.
Not throw while they're here. Some people want to see that. Some people want to throw.
Well, your practice of playing the flute and marching at the same time, you can work and talk at the same time.
Okay, let me, have you ever been involved with the schools and teaching?
Only on a volunteer basis in elementary school with David's class. We never got on that roster.
Of the artist in residence?
Yeah.
Okay,
We do that here already.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into the schools.
talk about that. Yes.
So we were, because of career days and teachers who knew that I talk a lot, was involved with, it's the truth, asking us to come to career days and be the artist, like the fireman and the vet and the police officer for career day in elementary school. And I went to Silver Creek for one of those sessions, and the first graders fought over who would come here. So we brought in 100 first graders from Silver Elementary School here.
That's in Madison?
Madison County.
Okay.
So 60 one day and 40 the next. Paraded through here, watched throw a pot and deal with them at their level of understanding. So I didn't talk as much. Because that was such an important part of their experience, I realized there's no way they know everything about art. So brainstorming with other friends, it became evident that there could be a possibility of doing something independently of the business that would allow art to be explained to kids in a hands-on fashion. So that started Walk with the Arts that the Berea Arts Council put together under their umbrella, and it survived 10 years. The first 2 years were phenomenal. We had artists that covered music, dance, poetry, writing, weaving, pottery, woodworking,
Music.
foundry work, music being played, and a musical zoo. And the kids got bussed in and spent one day going from station to station to station to station, enjoying learning about art. We had a curriculum. We sent the curriculum out prior so that the teachers would know what they were going to experience, so they could tie that into whatever they had on their docket to teach. And we gave hands-on. They could weave, they could work in clay, they could paint.
And the reason you did that
Play
is
music.
because that stuff doesn't go on in schools anymore. So
Where was that held?
At
Indian Fort Theater.
Oh, at Indian. Didn't the Guild used to do some of that too, right?
Well, the Guild had its educational component, which Les Prost put in there, was to have hands-on and demonstrations so that you didn't just see the final product, you got to see how that final product got there.
Okay.
And he put that on the train, and that train went around so that school groups came to the train and saw a potter, saw a woodworker, saw a broom maker, saw a weaver, and those were all different studios on the train. So the Guild kept that going until someone decided that that wasn't an important part of the Guild's nonprofit and took that away. So they took away the Friday, so now it's just a Saturday, Sunday, and I don't know that they have exhibitors that demonstrate anymore.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to this, a special story or moment or event or recognition, honor, or something that we haven't already covered?
For me, it's a privilege to be a part of this community, to be recognized as part of this community. It's not something I strove for, and that was not what's the most important thing, but it sure is neat to be part of a community like this, is how I would answer that.
Sarah?
And all the things that I've done in my career, I'm really proud of starting the Berea Christmas Parade, being a youngster on the Chamber of Commerce board which of maintaining a relationship with my partner, to work with my partner, and live with my partner. Now, we have separate lives, and we kind of get together every once in a while because we work together.
24/7.
You know the drift. You live with Robin.
I think that's another big success of our story, is that we've survived.
It's one of those that Jeff brings up. How many other people do you know that work together, live together, that survived in small business? And
It's pretty rare.
it isn't the norm. I cherish the relationships I have with my clients that I know by name. I know when they walk in who they are. They love it. So one of the things that I do, which I didn't learn in one of those classes, one of those workshops, but I did anyway, I ask people what their name is. And I call them by their name while they're here. And it's not Mr. Clark, it's John, or it's Mr. Kemper. Now, Dr. Kemper is our dentist. He just helped both of us. He's been a lot of time with Jeff in the past couple of years. He was a client. He brought his family here when his kids were tiny, and then as they were middle school kids.
And then grown adults.
And grown adults. And he takes care of us now. We moved our dentistry to him. He's 82 years old and working 3 days a week as a dentist. That's just a little sample of what we have coming back to us from being open 6 days a week, year round. No matter what the weather. People came in the snow the other day. I was like, what are you doing here? But it's all good. And have I missed something that you think I should have covered?
No, I just thought of one more thing. If we ever did retire and had the money, me personally, I'd love to go see how our clients use our work in their kitchen, how they display our work, and we could spend a lifetime looking at that, going to visit people. Some of them are already passing away. I would just love to see how these people use our work. That would just be a goal of mine, to knock on the door. Hey, do you remember me? From 30 years ago, I'm Jeff Enge from Tater Knob Pottery.
And they say I drink out of you every day, Jeff.
No, that would be a treat in life if you could see that, I would think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to let us hear your story today. And it's been my pleasure to hear it and to get to know you all so much, Mary. So,
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.